Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 112 today for the USA Grand Prix in Season 6, and we've only got 3 rounds left of this season. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check the one before you see this one. But this is very much crunch time, and this is a very interesting episode for us to get to, because for the last few seasons of this Career Mode series, we've not had a USA Grand Prix. This season, we missed out on Australia at the start of the season opener, and we had to add one new circuit to the calendar, and that was going to be USA. Historically, a very difficult circuit. You know, the AI are actually very good around here, especially on this game, and they were on the last game, really quite and truly very consistent with the tyre wear, just how quick they were throughout every portion of the race. So it was always a very difficult race to come to versus AI in a championship fight or any kind of sense of the matter, basically. So I don't know how this is going to go, because obviously things have changed since the last time we came to COTA on this F1 2020 game. You know, things have changed. The pecking order is very different. You've got cars like Racing Point that seems so good in a straight line, but COTA's obviously got some massive high-speed corners that may really hinder them. And then after last episode, you know, Leclerc really turning up following such a dismal ending for him at Singapore. You know, it's hard to tell now where it stands. Leclerc's firmly back in the championship fight. I'm on the back foot now, having been spun out by my teammate George Russell in some changeable conditions, and now we're on the back foot, and Gasly's in the driving seat, having got still a pretty consistent second place. But you know, now I'm questioning, you know, are Ferrari going to be right up there once again? Is Gasly going to be there? And if they are, we're going to have to, you know, there's no excuses. We're going to have to be there as well, and we're going to have to fight them toe-to-toe, basically. So it's just one big question mark, which is kind of almost what you kind of want to have going into the last 3 rounds of the championship. Obviously, it's not as good being in the actual cockpit of the car myself, being in the championship fight, but we're going to try our best, obviously, and I hope our car can be strong. I mean, it is maxed out, so it's not going to feel horrendous. It's just a case of, will it feel better than others, obviously? And we didn't exactly kick off qualifying with the best way possible.
We seem to be having some software issues at the moment. Sit tight for a few minutes while we reboot some things, okay?
So a little niggling thing at the start of Q1, but obviously out of all the qualifying sessions to happen in, that's actually the best one, obviously, so it's not that much of an issue. We'll still get the lap in and hopefully make it through to the second part of qualifying, basically, but not ideal, because I maybe would have wanted a little bit, maybe more running, perhaps, in Q1, but in the end, I just opted for one run to get to grips with the circuit, basically. Again, very much going in fresh. You guys know at this point, the career mode series, I don't really do that much of the actual practice session, so this is very much kind of the first few laps of COTA I'm actually doing in a while on this game in this car. But like I said, with a maxed out car, it doesn't really feel that bad, to be honest. It actually feels very, very quick around there, and we actually matched Russell quite nicely, so maybe that's just where the car is. Hard to tell though in the first part of qualifying, so let's see what the true pecking order is going to shape up to be, maybe in Q2 and Q3. Don't know if anyone's going to try anything funny with the tyres. We saw last episode Russell obviously qualified on the mediums at Suzuka, which didn't help him at the start of the race, ironically. But COTA, I'm not too sure. You know, the tyre wear levels have been a bit higher this season compared to Season 5, but also the tyre wear levels in general are different to when we last came to COTA. So it is kind of up in the air if it will be any beneficial. It doesn't look like anyone has thought that, because everyone qualifies on the soft tyres. Russell showing the car has some pace in there, but we were a bit slower. And actually, I was very lucky. I was very kind of stubborn on only setting 1 lap time on softs. I didn't want to waste another set, and so I just, you know, firmed it, stayed in the garage, and we almost got knocked out there. Only a few, you know, thousands, I think that is, between myself and Bottas. And very surprising to see Sainz out with Ricciardo top. So the Red Bull, I don't know, it's kind of made a bit of a resurgence, but it kind of, you know, very hot flashes. We saw Red Bull strong at Singapore, then they weren't really anywhere that much at Suzuka, and then Ricciardo goes top of all, but Sainz is knocked out, who's the only Red Bull race winner this season. So very, very strange. But anyway, we enter Q3 then, and the sun is really set here at USA in Austin, Texas, and we go across the line for the first final lap, up into P5, behind Gasly, but ahead of Leclerc, which is at least one positive for us. But obviously Gasly Gasly leading the championship. We're going to try and see if we can out-qualify him, gaining about 2/10 in just the first corner exit alone, basically. Didn't exactly make the most of it then on the first run, clearly, as we now dive into the last corner. A bit of understeer washes over the front end of the car, losing a bit of time there, and so it goes from 3/10 gain to 2/10, and in the end, that's only enough to actually keep our P5 and secure the third row of the grid behind Russell and Ocon on the second row. Verstappen gets pole position, Ricciardo second, but in the end of it, actually, it's happy days for us, because we've actually out-qualified Gasly and Leclerc. Didn't actually notice that, because I was just upset that we actually only managed to stay in P5, but looking at it, we have actually done mega to out-qualify both our championship rivals, Gasly and Leclerc. Both Ferraris massively on the back foot. I thought they would have been okay around here, looking at the characteristics of the circuit, and if you look back at Suzuka, how they were. But Verstappen pulls out of the bag. Fair play. He's needed to. He's had a very torrid season, really, compared to his new teammate Gasly, who's come in, obviously, into the Silver Arrows only this season. And Ricciardo, again, smashes it. Second row, and his teammate was knocked out. So very, very odd stuff. And it's probably going to be even more of a whirlwind in the race, because I just don't know how that strategy is going to pan out. So let's go to what is going to be a very crucial third last race of this season.
Welcome once again then to the United States Grand Prix here in the magnificent city of Austin. It was here in 2018 that Kimi Räikkönen delighted the world by winning for the first time in 114 races. There's always a record to be broken, so what, I wonder, is in store for us today? We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, around the 20 corners of the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. We'll be reaching speeds of around 200 miles an hour, and there are plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the very long back straight into turn 12. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Why don't we discuss McLaren? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo, a strong showing from the Australian. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Ocon, the owner driver, and Gasly, Norris, Giovinazzi, Leclerc, and Alexander Albon, Bottas, Sainz, Nick de Vries, and Stroll, Kvyat, Matsushita, Luca Giotto, and Jack Aitken. Magnussen, Schumacher, Latifi, and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So, like I said, strategy was a little bit of unknown to me in terms of what he would do. The tyre wear has historically been quite high around USA on this game, and even in previous games, just a very abrasive circuit. So the 2-stop is there, and I think that's the way to go, because I remember when we did come to USA last, the 2-stop was a much quicker strategy. Even with the extra pit stop, you're gaining so much time, especially in Sector 1 with the fresher tyres. We're going to go for medium, because I think the tyre wear level, obviously this season in general, has been a little bit high, so let's just make sure we don't really waste it on a soft tire that's going to wear out quite quickly. I mean, I guess we'll see. If the first stint's not that bad, maybe we switch to going for softs right at the end of the race on low fuel, but definitely that middle stint, I want that to be medium, just to give us that, you know, flexibility maybe of deciding what we want to go on, and basically just seeing how the race is at that point, because, you know, if we're stuck in traffic, maybe we need to go a different way. But here we go then to 5 red lights, to a very crucial third last round of this season. 5 red lights are out, and we're underway here at Austin, Texas for the USA Grand Prix. It's a slow start from Ricciardo, quick one from Ocon. A lot of wheel spin for us though in the second phase of this start, and so Gasly's managed to dive down the inside. We made some contact with Giovinazzi, who came in like an erratic man into turn 1 then. He's now side by side with Lando Norris, and Ocon is going to get squeezed down by Gasly, and Gasly does us a favour, and we actually get Ocon. So funnily enough, once again this season, myself and Gasly acting like we're teammates still, because he helps me out a fair bit there to overtake Ocon, and I feel like the McLarens should be good around here with the straight line speed they've got, but Gasly helps us out, so we're up into P5 then. But overall, a little bit disappointed at the start, you know, a lot of wheel spin, didn't make the most of it into turn 1, and kind of almost got bullied out of the way by Giovinazzi, making some contact with us, and just being very aggressive really. So we find ourselves now behind Gasly, although you can see, look at the kind of, you know, onus we're having here, already pressurizing him on lap number 2 onto 3. Could fancy a little move on the outside. It's going to be very audacious, but we go the long way round in the final corner, and we're now to drag race across onto lap number 3. Going to give him a big old squeeze to the inside there. Banging tyres, go to the outside, try and brake a little bit early, but then just kind of seeing what the line is going to be, I thought I could maybe try a switch back. In the end, we just stick to the outside right line, and we squeeze him out as we go down the crest into the heart of Sector 1, and we've overtaken Gasly. Once again, we find ourselves ahead of him and Leclerc, so back in the kind of comfortable driving seat where we want to be, and now we can press on. We've got Russell right ahead of us, so in theory, hopefully I can try and catch up to him, and we could already be looking at a podium position at the moment, but as it stands, I believe it's Verstappen way out in the lead, then already building a nice gap to Ricciardo, who's doing so well, I might add, in the Red Bull in second place, but Russell is gaining on him in a straight line. But saying that, Gasly is equally getting on me. We saw how quick the Silver Arrow was around Suzuka through 130R. We go a little bit defensive into the next corner as we're just trying to give him some space, but also at the same time, I also want to try and close the door, of course, so try my best. He's still there on the outside. We're trying to see where he is in the mirror. He's darting left and right. We make a bad mistake there, lock up, and he's able to actually get his nose in, but he just can't quite make the move. So we are going to live to fight for another day, and we are going to stay put in P4 as we now move on to lap number 6, and I have caught up to Russell, and Russell is pressurizing Ricciardo, although the only annoying thing is, you can see behind me, I've actually pulled Gasly with me, so I've pulled the whole train actually. You can see the mini-map there of Russell, the 2 McLarens, Giovinazzi, Leclerc, all of us now in kind of a DRS train. We've all caught up to Russell and Ricciardo, but I'm going to take this time, lap number 6, to come in early here and go onto the medium tyres. I know the undercut could be quite strong, especially if all those guys are nose to tail, you know, with DRS on one another. The best kind of opportunity here would be just to get some clean air, push hard on medium tyres, which will be faster now because the tyre wear levels were pretty high there. I was feeling a little bit on the rear end, especially in sectors 1 and 2. So let's just watch out for that and hopefully see if we can get an undercut and try and look to at least maybe, you know, jump Russell, get in the middle of him and Ricciardo. I don't know. Let's see how this goes. We're already catching up to Jack Aiken fairly quickly in the what is a very slow Williams, to be fair, so not much to shout about, but we are, you know, feeling good on the mediums. Just don't want to lose too much time behind cars like this, so we get on Aiken straight away, DRS open and up into P16, or still a bit of clean air ahead of us to use, so we're going to utilize that as much as we can and try and obviously get past these 2 Alpine cars as quickly as we can, catching up to Matsushita, who gave us a good old squeeze back in Singapore, if you remember, and he's going to defend this position a little bit there, but we're going to be able to just sneak it through to the inside. In the end, doesn't put up too much of a fight, and now can we try and get on the back of Kvyat straight away, and still at this stage, it doesn't look like any of the other guys in the top 10 pack are coming in yet, so, you know, we've either gone very early, and this is going to be a very bold, you know, call, or this may not work. Let's see, so we overtake Kvyat in a very clean fashion there on the inside, so close on the curb, doing a Verstappen, if you remember, back to, when it was 2015 or 2016, I think it was, when he made a move like that and actually got penalised for it, but we actually stayed on the curb enough, I think, to not have that be a corner cut overtake, as we're up into P14 now, and we continue going on, and you might be able to see there, we've actually jumped Daniel Ricciardo on the top left there, so that surely means we're ahead of Russell, and it does, as we go on now a little later into the race, and you can see Ricciardo's right up my chuff. You may have seen the heads-up display as well, that the engine is looking a bit worn, but like I told you guys in Singapore, don't worry, it's not actually affecting pure engine performance, it's just the control electronics, which is going to wear every other part, and then the energy store, so a little bit less ERS, but that doesn't matter, we're in a maxed out car, so it's fine. But as an Alpine car holds up a whole host of cars, including the 2 Ferraris, and also my teammate, Ricciardo is on the back of me, and that Red Bull, at least in the hands of him, is looking pretty damn handy, as he overtakes us in the straight line, DRS open there. Not too often we've seen the Red Bull overtake anyone in straight line this season. We try our best to hang it around the outside, but just can't quite do it. But we go for a bold lunge, a very bold one, because I came from quite far back, so it was a bit audacious, and to be honest, a bit half-hearted, because it was never going to come off there. And Ricciardo's overtaken us fair and square. Now, the thing is, though, he is on soft tyres. You can clearly see on the top left, and you would have seen by those camera shots. So his tyres are going to wear out faster. So although he's overtaken giving us now, I think we are in a good position to maybe re-overtake him, but we're up into P6 then, and yeah, we're fully ahead of Russell, fully ahead of obviously still Gas and Leclerc, keeping them in check. And now the interesting thing is myself and Ricciardo, I'm keeping up with Ricciardo on those softs, and we're both catching Verstappen, and Verstappen has opted for the one stop. He's gone on to the hard tyres. I can tell you also at the same time behind us, you can see Norris and I believe Leclerc are also on the hards trying the one stop. So we've got quite a nice spread of strategies here, actually, when you see it. But myself and Ricciardo are catching Verstappen, and Verstappen has a problem. He's gone slow. He's out. I can't believe this. No, you're kidding me. Is it a puncture? Is it a mechanical failure? I don't know, but we've overtaken Verstappen, and Ricciardo now takes the race lead here at USA. We're up into second place, and I think that's Verstappen out. I think he's fully out. I think he's parking up somewhere, and so the bad luck continues for the Dutchman. He is out of the USA Grand Prix, I think that is, and we're up into P2, Norris P3, Russell P4, Gasly P5, and I think Leclerc is behind him in P6, and now we've got the full course yellow. Safety car is out with Verstappen. I'm sure maybe just parked up in an awkward position there. So that has completely flipped the entire race on its head. We're going to actually come in under the safety car, which is the smart thing to do because we're only maybe 3 or 4 laps away anyway from making that second pit stop. So we may as well get a free pit stop under the safety car. But this is going to change everything because we're going to, you know, lose P2. Ricciardo will lose the lead. Russell's also in, so I'm going to hold him up in the pit lane, which is really annoying as a team, obviously. And, you know, he was a good buffer between myself, Gasly, and Leclerc there. And so instead, Norris is actually the one that leads the race then. And Leclerc is up in P2. And both Norris and Leclerc are on the hard compound tyre. And they're going to the end. So out of all of this, somehow, Leclerc, he went from a DNF at Singapore to winning the Japanese Grand Prix, and now he's found himself in P2 on the road, and he's going to the end on hard tyres. He's really finessing it massively, and for us, it's a bit, you know, a surprising place to be, because we're down in P8 now, behind Sainz as well, so both Red Bulls to overtake here, and Gasly even more so. Gasly's behind Russell there, outside the top 10 right now, so it's all coming up Ferrari and Leclerc at the moment in terms of this championship fight. If you remember back to that, not just, you know, fighting for this race, we've got a championship to worry about, and if it was to end like this, Leclerc would have a massive advantage. So we've got a lot of work to do now in this last third of this race, basically. But there you go, Norris does indeed lead the way on hard tyres, Leclerc in P2, and yeah, I mean, I wrote him off at Singapore. Maybe I shouldn't have. I literally said, you know, is that it? That is maybe his championship fight completely dead in the water with the DNF at Singapore, but he's come back so strong, won Japan. You know, I don't know what's going to happen here. Does he have a chance to attack Norris? I don't know, but right now in second place, that's still mega if you consider that I'm here in P8 and Gasly is actually behind Russell here on the top left, you can see, outside the top 10. So that's massive, massive stuff for the championship with only 2 rounds to go after this one. So we need to get a move on. We're going to make a darting dive on the inside of Sainz. Easy does it mid-apex, but we should have that because I believe Sainz, I think Sainz came in on the same time as us, but he's just looking a bit slow. But now we've got Ricciardo to contend with. Now Ricciardo's been looking pretty damn quick, definitely a lot quicker than Sainz, so he may be a harder man to try and crack. And he's also got 2 Alpha Tauris ahead of him who have looked not too bad in this race. Alpha Tauris, I think they've been very good in a straight line so far this season. So in a situation like this where they've just got track position, they may be quite hard to overtake. So let's just see how this goes. But as we go on to lap number 17 then, P7, Leclerc P2, we've got some work to do to try and cut this damage. And it's basically damage limitation right now, because there's no way I can go on to actually overtake Leclerc, I don't think, because I think he's got enough track position here. It's just about trying to maximize points on Gasly, who went into this race leading the championship, and then trying to just cut the deficit to Leclerc in. And so as we move on a little bit later now into the race, only 8 laps to go actually, so quite a sizable chunk into this last stint, and we're right up the chuff, still pressurizing Ricciardo, but still yet to overtake him. He goes defensive here. We have a little look, doesn't really work out on the outside though, but then on the exit, look at that rear squirm. Massive mistake from Ricciardo there. Always crazy to see the AI actually make such human-like mistakes there, but it's great to see, and we capitalise on that, and we're up into P6 then. So really big mistake from Ricciardo. Maybe that Red Bull's now finally finding some tyre wear. Maybe those are some used mediums. I'm not too sure why he was feeling so much tyre wear only a few laps after the safety car has been in. But there you go. We're up into P6, and now can we try and overtake Bottas? Like I said, the AlphaTauris have been pretty good in a straight line as we open up DRS and deploy ERS across the line onto lap 22. You can see Bottas not too bad in straight line. We go for the move on the outside. He goes defensive, and that's clever from him because I'm unable to really make anything work on the outside. You even have Stroll, who's overtaken Ricciardo now, tries to have a little nip at my heels on the exit, and oh, it's so close with Bottas there. I really wanted to make a lunge or make something happen in the S section, but just wasn't able to happen. And in this section, it's so hard to make any sort of overtake because you're all going so quickly. And so at the moment, finding it difficult to find a way past Bottas. But now, on the exit though, saying that down the crest, he was a bit slow for some reason. So he slowed up a bit, and we're actually able to just sail it through on the inside. So in the end, I'm getting quite frustrated. It's quite a fairly easy move then on the inside there. So maybe this is where I need to gain the most time on the AlphaTauris, is down this hill. Clearly, they're quite slow. I don't know if they're not deploying too much ERS and I'm doing some more, perhaps, I don't know, or maybe they're now turning down their engines. Whatever the case, we're now finally gaining a bit more speed that we need in this race. De Vries goes a bit defensive, but he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck, I think, and we're up into P4. Yes, we are, and we're going to get straight on looking at Albon, because, I mean, look at the gap between him and Leclerc. Massive to say we've had a safety car, really. So he's struggling for pace on those hard tyres. You know, maybe if the F1 gods are kind to us, maybe Leclerc and Norris could struggle that much and we could catch up to them. But that's very wishful thinking, saying that there's only, there's only 5 laps. So I think Norris and Leclerc have that locked down for P1 and P2, but if we can get P3 here, this would be massive for us, because at this stage, I think Gasly's still only just in P10. Now, the only caveat to this is the tyre wear is quite high. I don't know if others are going to have to make an extra stop, because, this is quite a long time for the mediums to still go. We pit under the safety car, quite some time ago, as we now try and make a move on Albon. Bit skirtish on the exit there, as we got very close to his front left tyre. But now we're trying to play a bit of chicken. Who can keep their foot in here? We're going to, and we're up into P3 with a very tasty overtake. And that is exactly what we need, and that's the most we can hope for in this race, because we go on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Like I said, though, there was some tyre wear issues, and so I think Stroll is pit. I think Russell's even pit, because we're all going quite long on these mediums. When I pit under the safety car, I did think, we need to do this, obviously, because it's a free pit stop, but it's a long way to go on mediums that I know were wearing fast anyway on that second stint of the race. So Russell and Stroll, I think, did pit again, and so Gasly has gained some positions, has gained some points, but the man of the hour, the man who's dominated this one after having a blinder strategy, I mean, to be fair, you've got to say the safety car helped him out a lot, but Lando Norris wins the USA Grand Prix. Leclerc comes home in an amazing P2, which will see him go top of the championship, which is nuts to say he was down and out of it, just 2 races ago at Singapore. We come home in a really good podium at P3, Gasly down the order, so that is a very big race to set up 2 last races. I mean, it's all just a whirlwind in these last few episodes.
A beautiful performance from McLaren today. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight.
So there we have it then. Lando Norris wins another race in this season, I believe, because I think he won one before, so I think both McLarens have actually won 2 races this season, maybe, and if they have, that's kind of mad to think, because they've been nowhere near the championship for, obviously, but they've actually won the most races, I think, as a team. But Leclerc P2 there, that's a big statement for him. For us in P3, that's also equally Gasly. You know, we've shown a lot of character to come back through in that last part of the race, but it means Leclerc leads the championship then by 7 points. He was out of it by, what, 11 points at Singapore? What a turnaround from him. What a turnaround for him at Ferrari as well. I mean, Ferrari giving him the car to win the last race and get second place still, and a good strategy from them for once to go on the hard tyres. Obviously, no one could have predicted the safety car, but it's just the rub of the green sometimes in F1 you get with the safety car. It definitely hurt myself and Gasly. There's no doubt I actually would have had a good chance of winning that race if it wasn't for the safety car. But Gasly in second place, we're still in third, but we've closed the gap to Gasly, and we're in a bit of a better... I feel more comfy being here in terms of with 2 rounds to go. We can still turn this around, but we have to be on it at Mexico. We almost have to be there for the win at Mexico to set up then ourselves in the finale, or vice versa. We'd have to win at the finale to, you know, really give ourselves a good shot at winning this championship, and it's by no means over because Leclerc looks quick again, and that Ferrari looks quick. The Mercedes, we know from Verstappen getting pole, is a quick car. They just need to have some reliability, and Gasly needs to get some luck himself, as he did not that much this race. And then for us, I mean, like I said, we're just going to maximise our result, basically. But that's how difficult it is. I cannot call this with 2 rounds to go, which is obviously a great thing for you guys. Nerve-wracking for me. But if you guys did enjoy that hectic USA Grand Prix, then be sure to smash the like button. Let me know what you want in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.